Intense fighting has once again erupted along the disputed border between Thailand and Cambodia, pushing the two Southeast Asian neighbors towards a more serious conflict. The latest round of violence began on Thursday, the 24th of July, 2025, marking a dangerous escalation in a long-simmering dispute. This recent confrontation was reportedly triggered after 5 Thai soldiers were injured in a landmine explosion the previous day. Since then, the situation has rapidly deteriorated from a minor skirmish into a significant military engagement involving heavy weapons. Clashes have now been reported in at least 12 different locations along the contested frontier, signaling a widespread and coordinated military action rather than an isolated incident. The severity of the conflict has prompted stark warnings from regional leaders. The scale of the fighting has grown significantly in just a couple of days. Thailand's acting Prime Minister Phumtham Wechayachai has publicly stated that the situation could escalate into a state of war, a dramatic shift in language from his initial description of the events as a mere clash. Both sides have deployed significant military assets to the region, and the use of heavy artillery and rocket systems has become a grim reality for those living near the border. The fighting is not confined to a single point but is spread across several districts, indicating a much broader and more volatile front than in previous flare-ups. This escalation has shattered a period of relative calm and undone years of diplomatic efforts to manage the dispute peacefully. Accusations and counter-accusations have been flying between Bangkok and Phnom Penh, with each side blaming the other for starting the violence. Cambodia has accused the Thai military of launching indiscriminate attacks and using banned cluster munitions against its territory, a serious charge that echoes similar allegations from a major clash in 2011. Thai military officials have denied these specific claims, instead releasing their own unverified drone footage that they say shows a successful strike on a Cambodian arms depot. Both armies claim they are acting in self-defense and are only responding to provocations from the other side, a familiar narrative that does little to de-escalate the dangerous situation on the ground. The political fallout has been swift and severe, particularly in Thailand. The conflict has inflamed nationalist sentiments, putting immense pressure on the government. The suspended Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra, who was removed from office earlier this month, partly due to a leaked friendly phone call with Cambodian leader Hun Sen, has now adopted a much harder line. She has condemned Cambodia's act of aggression and declared that the time for negotiation is over. This hardening of positions on both sides suggests that a quick diplomatic solution is unlikely, raising fears that the conflict could become more entrenched and destructive as the days wear on. The current fighting is not a new problem, but the latest chapter in a bitter, century-old territorial dispute. The root of the conflict lies in the nearly 800-kilometre shared border, much of which was never clearly demarcated. The core of the disagreement stems from a border map drawn up in 1907 by French colonial authorities, who then controlled Cambodia. Thailand has long disputed the legitimacy of this map, arguing it unfairly favours Cambodia and does not align with natural geographic boundaries like watersheds. This historical grievance has been passed down through generations and has become a powerful tool for nationalist politicians in both countries, ready to be ignited at any moment. At the heart of the most intense disputes is the magnificent 1,000-year-old Preah Vihar temple, a Hindu temple perched on a cliff edge along the border. The temple is a site of immense cultural and historical importance to both nations. In 1962, the International Court of Justice in The Hague awarded sovereignty of the temple itself to Cambodia, a ruling that has never been fully accepted by many in Thailand. Tensions boiled over in 2008 when Cambodia successfully registered the temple as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, a move that Thailand saw as an attempt to assert control over the disputed land surrounding the monument, leading to deadly military clashes. While the temple is the most famous flashpoint, the dispute extends to other areas, including the sites of the Ta Moan and Ta Krave temple ruins. The recent escalation in May 2025, which saw one Cambodian soldier killed, occurred in another contested area. Following that clash, Cambodia submitted these new disputed zones to the International Court of Justice for a ruling. However, Thailand has rejected the ICJ's jurisdiction over these new areas, insisting that all border issues must be resolved through a bilateral joint committee that was established in 2000. Cambodia has refused to return to bilateral talks on these specific locations, creating a diplomatic and legal stalemate. The conflict is also deeply personal, entangled with the relationship between the political elites of both nations. Relations took a sharp downturn last month when Cambodia's influential Senate President Hun Sen leaked a private phone call with then Thai Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra. In the call, she used a familiar term, uncle, to address the long-time Cambodian leader and appeared to undermine her own military commander. The leak caused immense political embarrassment for Paetongtarn in Thailand, contributing to her suspension and souring a once close relationship between the Shinawatra political dynasty and Hun Sen, thereby removing a key channel for informal high-level diplomacy. The most immediate and tragic consequence of the border clashes is the devastating impact on civilians. As of Friday, the 25th of July, 2025, military and civilian casualties are mounting. At least 16 people have been confirmed killed in the fighting so far. Reports from the Thai side indicate that at least 15 of these fatalities have occurred in Thailand, with the majority being civilians caught in shelling and rocket attacks. Cambodia has not yet released a comprehensive national casualty figure, but officials in one border province have reported at least one civilian death. These numbers represent real lives lost and families torn apart by a conflict over lines on a map. The violence has triggered a massive displacement of people on both sides of the border. In Thailand, authorities have evacuated over 130,000 people from their homes in 4 provinces, including Sisaket and Ubon Ratchathani. These terrified families have been moved to temporary shelters such as schools and government buildings located away from the fighting. They carry with them stories of shock and fear, having fled the sound of rockets and artillery fire. In Cambodia, an estimated 1,500 families in the Oda Meanchey province have also been forced to evacuate their villages, seeking safety from what they describe as indiscriminate Thai shelling. These evacuations create a humanitarian crisis that strains local resources. Access to essential services, particularly healthcare, has been severely compromised. The fighting has forced the closure of at least 11 hospitals along the Thai side of the border. One hospital in the Phnom Dongrak district was reportedly damaged by the shelling, prompting the evacuation of all patients and staff. This has left a critical gap in medical care for the local population, which includes the elderly and those with chronic illnesses. One report highlighted the plight of a 90-year-old patient needing treatment for hypertension who was left without access to care. The closure of these facilities means that even those not directly injured by the fighting are suffering its consequences. For the soldiers on the front lines, the conflict brings its own personal cost. Sergeant Major Pichitchai Boonchula, one of the 5 Thai soldiers whose injury in a landmine blast preceded the major escalation, has spoken from his hospital bed. Having lost a leg in the explosion, he expressed no regrets, stating he was proud to serve his country and protect its sovereignty. His story is a poignant reminder of the patriotism that fuels the conflict on both sides, but also of the life-altering injuries that soldiers endure. For every official casualty count, there are many more individuals, both civilian and military, who will bear the physical and psychological scars of this conflict for years to come. As the fighting rages, diplomatic channels appear to be closing. Thailand has firmly rejected any offers of third-party mediation to resolve the conflict, insisting that the issue must be handled bilaterally between Bangkok and Phnom Penh. This position is a direct rebuff to an offer from Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, who, as the current chair of the regional bloc ASEAN, had proposed facilitating peace talks. The Thai government's stance is that Cambodia must first cease what it calls offensive moves before any meaningful dialogue can take place. This creates a deadlock, as Cambodia maintains that it is only defending its own sovereign territory from Thai aggression. The international community is watching the escalating situation with growing alarm. The United Nations Security Council is expected to hold an emergency meeting on Friday to discuss the crisis. The United States and the European Union have both issued statements calling for an immediate ceasefire and urging both sides to exercise maximum restraint. China, a major power in the region with strong political and economic ties to both Thailand and Cambodia, is navigating the situation carefully. A spokesperson for the Chinese Foreign Ministry has stated that Beijing holds a just and impartial position and will work to promote talks for peace in our own way, though it has stopped short of any direct intervention. In response to the violence, several countries have issued urgent travel warnings to their citizens. The United Kingdom, Australia, the United States and Singapore are among those advising against all travel to the border regions, specifically mentioning the areas around the Preah Vihear, Tamoan and Takrabi temples. These advisories threaten the tourism-dependent economies of both nations, particularly in the border provinces where cross-border trade and visitor flows are a vital source of income. The warnings reflect a global consensus that the situation is volatile and unpredictable, with a real risk of danger to foreign nationals who might be caught in the area. Ultimately, the conflict highlights the fragility of peace in the region and the enduring power of historical nationalism. A dispute rooted in colonial-era maps and fueled by domestic political pressures has once again led to bloodshed, displacing thousands and causing immense suffering. With both governments digging in their heels and rejecting mediation, the path to a peaceful resolution appears blocked. The international calls for peace are growing louder, but unless the leaders in Bangkok and Phnom Penh can find a way to step back from the brink, there is a grave danger that this long-running border dispute could spiral into a wider, more devastating war.